So here's the deal. Someone tried to ruin tennis for me, and it sent me into an existential crisis. I don't know how to play tennis anymore. So I'm going about my day as usual, and someone commented on one of my recent videos where he said my forehand was wrong. You were hitting your forehand wrong, bro. You shouldn't be bringing your arm back straight. You want to have some bend at the elbow so you can create a whipping motion as you straighten out your arm as you strike. You will generate a lot more racket head speed that way, creating a much more solid forehand. To which I replied, "Thanks for the tip. I'll have to try that out." After reading it, I thought, dang, maybe I am hitting everything wrong. I've been playing tennis since 2013, so I thought I had a pretty good grasp on form, and I thought I was pretty good. I didn't really ever consider changing my form because that seemed impossible. But this comment made me question everything. So it sent me down a rabbit hole where I watched a ton of different YouTube videos about how to hit an actual forehand. And yeah, I realized that I was hitting it wrong. I don't know if there's really a wrong way to hit a forehand. Everybody's form is unique and different. But I realized there were some tweaks that I could make to my forehand to make it even better. So that was my new goal. I went down this rabbit hole and I decided, you know what? I've played tennis for over 10 years now, and why not just switch it up and just completely ruin it even more? I thought that would be great for my game, just completely trash everything and start over. And so that's what I did. Before we go balls deep on fixing my forehand, you got to see where I came from so you can actually see if I'm changing anything, I'm not just making stuff up here. Pretty much the only thing that I wanted to change was the prep. As you can see, my arm goes immediately straight out to my side, and that was the whole issue. That's what the comment was saying. But everything else looks good, like the swing itself. I get under the ball really good to get lift on it, good top spin on the ball, good speed. So by fixing this, my arm won't go straight out anymore during the prep. It'll be more of a bent elbow where as I'm going to hit the ball, that's when I extend the elbow all the way. So that should give me more top spin, maybe even more power, because, I'm kind of launching my arm at the ball a little bit more. So that's the idea anyway. So now that you've seen my forehand, seen how ugly it is, just terrible, let's see how I can fix it and make it beautiful. Going into this, I knew that this was not going to be easy. It takes a lot of conscious effort in retraining those muscles and telling them, hey, no, sorry, this thing that you've done the majority of your life, that's wrong. We got to change everything about it, and it's going to feel really awkward, and you're probably going to get worse in that time. But the main goal for me is that I had a bigger picture in mind where the potential benefits that I had in mind were that 1, I could hit with more power, and 2, I could hit with more spin. Power and spin, both of those are great because I'll be hitting more topspin, so my balls will go in more often than out. And more power. That's always great. It feels great to rip a forehand down the line or rip it cross court. So that was the plan. Okay, let's jump into my first attempt. I immediately felt my arm wanting to extend all the way. I had to put a lot more effort into holding the racket closer to my body with my left hand. It just felt awkward, and I would still kind of revert back to what I was comfortable with. So yeah, you can tell already that this was not going to be easy, and this was going to be a process. It definitely wasn't going to change overnight. It was something that I would have to put a lot of time and conscious effort in to making the changes that I wanted to. So you can see where I started. I mean, I feel like it didn't really change that much, and I was trying. It was hard. Like, it is really hard to change something like that. As time went on, I kept practicing and I kept trying over and over to try to fix this, but as this happened, I started to notice that I was not playing as good. And the other thing that bothered me is that I kept being late. And I'm thinking that just because I was focused so much on the preparation stage, that I was just spending a lot more time in the prep stage, as I'm taking the racket back, but I'm not extending my arm yet. It just kind of threw me off. All of this, combined in my head, a lot going on. Normally, up until this point, I didn't really give it much thought how I was hitting my forehand. It was just, okay, make sure I'm hitting it out in front of me and making sure I'm loading up quickly enough so that I'm not hitting behind and I'm hitting on time. That's basically all I thought about. But now there's so many other thoughts in my head that, okay, I gotta make sure I'm not extending my elbow yet and make sure I'm turning my body so that I'm getting good rotation in my hips. And I wanna make sure also that I'm on time and I'm hitting the ball out in front of me. But I'm also thinking about, okay, so once I have the racket back, how do I then transfer that into my swing? Where does the racket drop come in? Just so many different thoughts in my head that added a lot more complexity to my swing. But I knew this was all a part of the process, and I just had to keep practicing and with the hope that things would get better and that at the end I would be a better player. Okay, so now I'm jumping into the latest practice session that I've had. I've practiced a handful of times over the past month or so. And at the end, I feel like there's a pretty big difference between where I started and my most recent practice. I'm actually seeing progress, which is cool. All right, let's break it down side by side, see what we're working with. The first thing that stands out immediately is that my preparation starts so much earlier now. I'll take that as an absolute win. Preparing a lot earlier should help me to hit the ball in front of me every single time, so we're off to a solid start. As we keep watching, you can obviously see the bent elbow there, so that's good. My practice has been working. I've been putting a lot of work into not just sticking my arm straight out. But here's where it gets interesting. After my initial prep, that's when things kind of revert back to how I've been hitting the ball for the majority of my life. You can see that my arm does go straight back, and then the swing is basically identical to how I've been hitting it this whole time. So while I sort of accomplished my goal in that my elbow is now bent during my preparation, and I'm also preparing earlier, which is great, but after analyzing it side by side, I don't know if I'm getting the full benefit of having the bent elbow and being able to leverage the whip and spin potential that comes from that. During my existential crisis phase, as I was watching countless YouTube videos to try to perfect my forehand, one thing that I was really interested in doing was trying to add more wrist lag in my swing. I think this is definitely going to be the toughest part of tweaking my form because it just is going to be so much different from how I'm used to hitting the ball. Anytime I watch a video of Roger Federer hitting a forehand, I'm always blown away with how majestic he looks as he's hitting a forehand. I just can't wrap my head around how he gets his wrist to look like that. But I'm going to give it my best shot, and that's the next thing that I want to focus on. So there you have it, folks. My forehand is still a work in progress. I still want to put a ton of time into perfecting it and tweaking it and getting it to where I feel very confident and comfortable in it. As I was going through this process, I also learned 2 very valuable lessons that I wanted to share. Number 1, changing habits and muscle memory is extremely difficult. If you don't have the patience or the time to relearn something, then I wouldn't recommend it. I don't even know if I really had the time. I mean, I work full time and it's hard for me to practice every day. But even with limited time, I was determined and I had the goal in mind that, hey, this is gonna be hard, but I know I can do it and I'm not gonna give up. The other thing that I learned through this is that everybody's form is unique. And I don't think you should necessarily change your form just because it doesn't look perfect. It doesn't look like Roger Federer or Carlos Alcaraz. The differences in the way that you hit the ball is unique and it's beautiful, okay? We don't want to all be the same cookie cutter player. That would be boring. I think having a wide variety of different forms, and the way that people hit the ball is awesome. So what I'm saying is that own your form. I know that goes against everything that I just am talking about for this entire video. But I wasn't changing my entire form. I was changing mostly just the preparation stage. You know, just little tweaks here and there to try to help me get better. But everything else is the same. I'm not touching my backhand. That thing is divine. Own your form. Love the way that you do things because that's you. And it's beautiful. So in the end, did I break myself? Sorta. I did have feelings like, what am I doing? Why am I trying to change this? I feel like I've gotten worse. And that's a little stressful too. I'm like, should I just go back to the way I was? No. I'm not going to go back. And I think it's fun. You know, in a way, it's really cool to learn different things. Even if it's uncomfortable and hard, it was fun for me to try out different things and to try to hit a different way and challenge myself. So that was a lot of fun. So in the end, Guy Brushed Wood, you may have sent me into an existential crisis and made me question everything about the way I play tennis, but I have to thank you. Thank you for challenging me and pushing me to perfect my game and ultimately helping me become a better player. So for that, I salute you, good sir. So that's all I've got. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, leave it a like, subscribe. It's always fun, you know. You can always unsubscribe if you hate me. It's okay. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.